If you're not paying attention to how customers are finding your business, you run the risk of falling behind your competition. Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Jack.
I started Commusoft back in 2006 with the intention of transforming the way field service companies run their business.
And over the last 3 years, I've been speaking with hundreds of companies learning all about their different strategies, struggles, and goals for the future.
In today's episode of Success in the Field, we're going to be talking about all the different ways customers come across your business. More importantly, we're going to be looking at how their mindset when they do come across your business and when they do find you, and how you can ensure you stand out from the crowd, ultimately winning the job.
We're going to be leaving you with a number of different ideas that you can use to generate more business and ideally become more successful, as well as sharing some revealing consumer research.
Let's start with some stats. So our friends at Eureka, a research team, put together a report on all the different ways people find and come across tradespeople.
Yeah, they asked 327 households across the UK how they'd go about choosing a tradesperson. Their research found that 61% of people would ask for recommendations from family or friends, 41% use online searches like Google, and 33% it was ask for recommendations but on social media.
That doesn't really come as much of a surprise. I'm pretty sure in all industries, recommendations are going to come out on top. So recommendations, Google searches, and social media are the top ways in which people find contractors today. Jack, you speak to clients every day. They must be talking about this, and they must be talking about how this has changed.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation that comes up now and then. I think once upon a time, people would have had to look for an electrician in the yellow pages, and they would have had to make their decision based off very little information. Today, however, we see a mixed bag of businesses who are struggling to adapt to the modern ways and who are still advertising in local magazines or the yellow pages. So this is compared to companies who are actively trying to adapt, but I think they're trying all the options at once, like online ads and social media, but aren't particularly sure why they're doing it. So perhaps, their competitors are doing it, they're trying to keep up, or they simply think they just should be doing it. I think as more and more information is now becoming available online, consumers have started to educate themselves before reaching out and making that purchase. Here at Commusoft, we call this the decision-making process. Basically, it's a 4-stage process that a customer goes through before making their decision. It starts off with motivation. So this is where they find the reason to start looking. For example, if their kitchen is falling to pieces, they would be motivated to get a new one installed. The second step is intention. So this is where they show their intent by reaching out and researching different companies that install kitchens in their local area. The third step is then preference. So this is where they've built up a list of all their options. They're now starting to compare their costs and quotations from the different companies. And then the final step is their risk perception. So they're going to weigh up all the risks that are present to them in terms of cost and commitment before making their final decision. I think the important thing to know is, though, here that the customer could reach out to companies at any point across these 4 stages. This process is just outlining their mindset and how it changes throughout the process.
Okay, so that explains a little bit about their mindset, but how do you actually use that knowledge to win more jobs?
To win more jobs, you'll first need to attract customers, right? So now there are more ways than ever for people to find you, but by understanding the decision-making process, you can now design strategies that lead your potential customers to you, educating them along the way so they're just more confident in choosing you.
As recommendations are the main way people find contractors, with 61% of people choosing to ask instead of looking for themselves, why are they so valuable?
Yeah, I think recommendations only come about when a person has the intent to do something. So in our decision-making cycle, this was the second step. You won't ask a friend if they've used a good electrician before if you're not intending to get some electrical work done. What the recommendation does is it creates confidence and, with the correct buying journey, potentially limits the number of alternative electrical contractors that you're going to end up speaking with.
Ultimately, speeding up the whole cycle and helping guarantee, I suppose, you get the job. How do you create a strategy, though, that actually encourages people to recommend your business?
I think the main thing here is don't just leave it to chance. You need plans in place that actively encourage it. So firstly, customers that recommend your business are customers that are overall quite happy with your service. So try and make it as easy as possible for them. If you've had a simple phone conversation, unless they've saved your number on their phone, which is unlikely, they're going to find it really hard to remember your company and pass the details on. There are a few ways to achieve this, I think, business cards and branded certificates.
I actually spoke to a gas company that actually leaves stickers on the boiler after they've either installed it or serviced it. It's quite an interesting idea as it promotes repeat business and also makes it pretty easy for them to share details. They're not digging around for digging around for telephone numbers. They can just look on their boiler, get the name, get the number, and pass it on to family and friends.
Yeah, I mean, how much effort is someone really going to go through to find your contact details in the depths of their phone? Probably not that much. If it isn't easy, I don't think they're going to bother.
Then there's incentives. So should you incentivize customers to actually refer you? I mean, I've always understood that there are kind of two schools of thought here. Those that feel incentives actively help, create referrals, and those that actually think it harms the process and doesn't really encourage customers at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we chose to start up a referral scheme here at Commusoft as a bit of a test more than anything a few years ago. And we found the difference between the number of referrals we got before we offered the incentive and after didn't really change. I think if anything, the referrals we got without the incentive were much better as they were genuine. They were based off customers' true feelings compared to the financial incentive that we were actually offering.
I guess if you do feel a referral scheme is right for your business, you need to really make sure that every interaction you have with that customer has some promotion for that referral scheme. So make sure it's at the bottom of your email signatures, make sure it's on your job reports, and ultimately just don't be afraid to just ask for a referral, outright ask the customer if they know anybody that might be interested in your business. And the final thing, I guess, here is just stick with it. It's a snowball effect. Well, it'll start off slow, but as it gets going, you'll be super grateful you started it. Okay, next is your website. With 41% of people using online search to find tradespeople, what do you think their mindset is going to be when they actually come across your website?
Yeah, I think customers will come across your website when they're at any stage of the buying journey. So you should have content on your website that's designed to help people across all four of these stages. If I go back to our previous example of someone looking to buy a new kitchen, customer in stage one might be interested to see innovative kitchen tech or things that are going to inspire them. Whereas customers at stage two are probably going to be more interested in seeing your credibility through reviews and case studies. And then those in the later stages are going to be looking to just reach out to you. So you need clear call to action, such as book a call or call us now for an instant quote.
Yeah, ultimately the right content for the right decision cycle stage. Say you've got a customer who's got an emergency job and they need someone in today. They find you online, they see that you do plumbing work, but there's no obvious way for them to contact you, and there's no obvious way that you can get an engineer out that day and maybe what it costs. I think in that scenario, they're more likely just to bounce back to Google and find a website that actually does answer those questions. It seems to be that content is going to be vital. And again, it's something that people really do fail to invest in. People build websites and then just put them up there and then leave them alone, which doesn't really work. You need to be constantly, reviewing what's on your site, listening to your customers and updating the content based on that feedback.
Yeah, another thing I noticed recently is Google business pages. So you can create Google profiles, which will show up on the right hand of the Google search bar. I'm sure you've seen them before, but I think now you can actually add a request a quote button too. It allows customers to request quotes right from within the Google search, which is pretty cool. And I've heard from clients that it generates quite a few leads for them.
With 33% of people choosing to ask for a recommendation on social media, when do you think it makes sense to invest time and energy in social media, and how does that impact the buying journey?
Yeah, I think there are two sides of this. The first side would be if you're a company mainly doing emergency or very reactive work, then social media doesn't impact the buying journey because customers simply aren't looking on social media when water is flying out of a burst pipe. They're on Google trying to find the nearest company. The other side of things would be if you're a company doing high value installs or work that requires more planning on the customer side, that is, the likelihood is they're going to be spending more time researching and they will want to see beautiful images of videos that you've been doing.
I think the main strategy, again, like your website, is to know your audience. I see so many people posting amazing pictures of their installations, showing off almost perfect work, but without any real strong call to action. And the reality is they're not really posting for their customers, they're posting for their peers and other trades, sort of wanting that gratification, that feedback. And whilst some customers may like to look at perfect pictures of pipe work, I'm pretty sure they just want their problem solved with as least hassle as possible. When posting to social media, always include a link to your website. It'd be even better if you could include a link to a landing page specific for that post. So for example, if you're going to put up an amazing picture of an installation you've done, write up a small landing page with testimonials, some more images, and maybe what you did on that site, so that when people click through from that social post to the landing page, they can see a very clear call to action as to how they can contact your business and how they could have similar work done at their homes.
Yeah, I think a big one is don't just open a social media account for the sake of it. So many people think, I've got a spare 10 minutes, let's open up a Twitter or an Instagram account for the business, but they aren't really committed to posting regularly, building that network and then figuring out how to convert the interest. There's so many times that I've gone onto someone's website, clicked the Instagram link out of interest, and on their page, there's one post says coming soon, and it's about 2 years old. It doesn't look very good. It shows you're not very active, and that could put doubt in customers' mind if they do stumble across it. If we go back to the decision-making cycle, this type of inactivity, it could cause potential customers to not choose your business, especially if they're in the later stages. So I think we'll wrap things up there. We could definitely talk about this topic all day.
For sure. As we discussed, all customers go through a buying journey. They find you, they contact you, and hopefully they buy from you. Understanding that decision-making cycle, though, does give you a bit of a leg up and helps you optimize that journey, making it a little bit easier for customers to work with you. In terms of building out a strategy, one thing we've talked about over and over today is just sticking with it. Whether you're incredibly busy, you've got more jobs than you know what to do with, keep investing in those buyer journeys, keep investing in your social media strategy, keep updating your website, and keep pushing those referrals. Here at Commusoft, we've put together a complete set of guides to help your business craft the perfect customer journeys. I'll put a link in the description below.
As always, we'd love to learn about any other interesting ways customers come across your business and about any investments you've made into your customer journeys. Feel free to share this video with your network or follow us on social media. Just search for Commusoft. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.